We all know what happened during Operation Searchlight. Unarmed, innocent students of Dhaka University were brutally killed by the Punjab regiment of Pakistani army in one single night. In the Ruqayya Hall, which is in Bengali called Ruqayya Hall, female students were raped, they were killed, they were molested. Now these women, these students are women students, female agitators, female protesters are calling themselves Razakar. So this shows the rot. So it is an extremely grim picture, extremely grim, extremely dark, and I'm not going to be pessimist while saying all these things. Hasina was not ousted because of students uprising. The government came to the conclusion that Jamaat and its students wing Islami Chhatro Shibir are behind. They have hijacked the movement and they are behind most of the atrocities. When a woman is indoctrinated into an Islamist ideology of Jamaat, we can very well understand where the society is heading. Although I'm a student of international relations, but I've always kept an eye on the part of society, on the part of ethnicity, on the part of how a group of people react, because these are the building blocks of the superstructure, which is the country.
Namaste, welcome to Sangam Talks. Today we will talk about the regime change that happened in Bangladesh last year, and after that there is a lot of things that changed in social and the political arena in Bangladesh. The plight of the Hindus. So for that today we have with us Dr. Sanchita Bhattacharya ji.
Namaste, Debasis ji.
Thank you very much for coming
Thank you for having me
in our office.
Podcast.
So, Sanchita ji, let me introduce you first. Dr. Sanchita Bhattacharya is a research fellow in New Delhi-based Institute for Conflict Management. She was part of some projects like South Asia Terrorism Portal. She co-authored a book which is on the Taliban. It is called The Taliban Misrule in Afghanistan. She also worked on terrorism and socio-political issues on Pakistan, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, the neighboring countries of India. She works on terrorism and socio-political issues. Her articles were published in leading portals like the Australian Outlook, the overseas news portals like Australian Outlook, the Kabul Times, and also in international portals like the Outlook, First Post. So, Sanchita ji, let's start with the background, how it's developed, the situation in Bangladesh last year, what happened there, the regime change and the outside of Sheikh Hasina.
Debasis ji, the situation right now is extremely grim and complex. Like we have seen how Sheikh Hasina has been ousted. Within few minutes, she was given a time of around 15 to 20 minutes to vacate her residence and all. So according to the Bangladeshi sources, according to the report of Home Ministry under this interim government, during the protest, around 600 people were killed. And it also included a substantial number of police personnel. So this is how I would start the conversation. And as we all know, the entire fiasco was based on the quota system. Now we have to understand the quota system and from where it comes. The quota system was first initiated by the Mujibur Rahman government in 1972 in honor of the sacrifice that the freedom fighters known as Mukti Joddhas during the liberation war period.
Right.
So within the structure of 100%, like 56% was given to the quota system, and within 56%, 30% was for the Mukti Joddha, the war veterans, 10% was for women, 10% was for underdeveloped districts, and rest 5% for minorities and 1% for physically disabled. Okay. So this was the entire structure of quota system with respect to government job. Now this is not the first time that students have agitated against the quota system, as has been projected by international media. Okay, 2024 was not the first time. They have already made an agitation in the year 2018. And because of their ongoing protest in 2018, the Awami League government actually curtailed the quota system
Okay.
for 9th to 13th grade of government jobs.
Sanchita ji, could you please elaborate a little bit why the quota is required? No.
Quota is required.
The Mukti Joddha Bahini,
yes.
the
I will come to that. Now what happened, the entire fiasco, the entire violence started with the reinstate of quota system by the High Court on June 5th last year. Okay. Moment the quota system was reinstated, these protesters, I will not consciously name them as students because it was a conglomeration of many other groups. Okay, and all the sources that I have been using or I have been writing so far are actually Bangladeshi sources. I have taken
And
news.
they portrayed it at the
No.
student movement.
They are portraying it, or the international media is portraying it. But I will come how the movement has shifted its character. Okay, over a period of few days. So I am taking in consideration the reports of Bangladeshi medias, whether it is Prothom Alo or Kaler Konto or Daily Star or Bangladesh News. I am not taking any other news reports. I am just going by the reports and like the news op-eds of the Bangladeshi sources. So as the students started protesting, what happened? There was a countrywide violence. There was a countrywide mayhem. So in the first week of July, around July 10th, I would say, the Supreme Court of Bangladesh intervened and they stopped this quota verdict of High Court.
Completely stopped it or postponed?
I'm telling you, it was revoked and the Supreme Court said, we will hear the government side of the story on August 7th. Give us 1 month's time. Okay, Supreme Court was like, give us 1 month's time. We will listen to what the government wants to say, what the Awami League government or Sheikh Hasina's government wants to say, and we will give our final verdict on August 7th. But yet, these protesters could not restrain. As all these brutalities and mayhem and violence increased, the Supreme Court was forced to prepone its date to July 21st. So July 21st, actually the Supreme Court gave its order in favor of the students. Nobody talks about all these things. It has become a student protest. Actually, Supreme Court agreed with the students.
But there are a lot of student casualties as
Exactly,
well, right?
exactly.
So there are two groups of them, right? Like, is it that they targeted the progenitors of the Mukti Joddha?
Yeah, that is also there. That was also there. They were anti-establishment. Actually, it was absolutely anti-Awami League, anti-establishment, anti-government movement. Okay. So, as the Supreme Court agreed with the students, they said we would curtail the quota from 30 to 5%. Okay, only 5% for the war veterans and their family members, remaining 2% for the physically disabled, women, minorities, transgendered, and remaining 93% would be filled on the basis of merit. That was the verdict of Supreme Court which came in July 21. Okay, which was absolutely pro-student. The students were urged to stop the agitation, to go back to their classes. Sheikh Hasina's government also agreed that we will abide by the verdict of the Supreme Court and please you go back to your classes. But within this entire fiasco, I would say, the most important part, as we have all seen, is the Razakar narrative.
Okay.
A slogan
Could
became,
you please elaborate a little bit
a slogan
for the
became,
viewers?
yes, absolutely. A slogan became very popular during those days, during those months. Ami ke, tui ke, Razakar, Razakar, ke boleche, shoirochar, shoirochar. How would you translate it? Who am I? Who you are? We are Razakars, and who has coined the term the dictator? Where they are saying that Awami League is the Sheikh Hasina's government, and Sheikh Hasina, they are the dictator and they are calling us Razakar. Now, I would like to say that once this quota system was curtailed, the entire shift of this movement changed from quota system to resignation of Hasina.
Right.
Their main aim was to oust Hasina. and her government. It was just a pretext. The entire Razakar narrative was just a pretext.
Logically, after the Supreme Court verdict, they should stop.
Yeah, they should have stopped. Yes, because their demands were fulfilled.
Yes,
they should have stopped. They should have gone back to their classes. They would have continued with their life. But no, the agitation became more violent. It became more brutal. And I'm telling you why. Because if you remember, on July 14th, Sheikh Hasina gave a statement. She had a press conference in which she gave a statement in Bengali. I have translated this statement in English for our viewers, okay, where she is saying, and I'm quoting her, why there is so much of resentment against Mukti Joddha and Mukti Joddha? Are the children and grandchildren of freedom fighters not talented? Are only the children and grandchildren of Razakars talented? If grandchildren of freedom fighters don't get quota benefit, should the grandchildren of Razakar get the benefit? What is the fault of Mukti Joddha? They selflessly fought for the freedom of this country. Otherwise, those who are protesting today would be subjected to kicks of Pakistanis.
Right.
This is what she said. And amidst her entire statement, the word which was very conveniently picked by these hooligans was Razakar. And calling themselves Razakar is actually going against the legacy of your country. It is going against the history of your country. It is going against the culture of your country. You are abusing yourself. You are abusing your country. For example, if the Jews today start calling themselves as we are Nazis, and we are SS, and we are proud to be Nazis, we are proud to be SS. Actually, this is what exactly has happened.
Basically, the Razakars were the collaborators of the East Pakistani army.
Yes. And what happens now, if you go back to the history, I'm going a bit, towards the historical part of it, because we need to understand why Razakar is so important. Because Razakar is like emotional significance to this phrase. And as you rightly mentioned, the Razakars were the collaborators. They were the facilitators of the Khan Sena. Khan Sena is the name which was given by the people of East Bengal to the Pakistani army. Okay, so these Razakars were collaborating with Al-Shams, Al-Badr forces, which were ancillary forces. Okay, Al-Badr was again a brainchild of Jamaat-e-Islami. So what was the task given to these Razakars? They were collaborating, they were facilitating the violence, and as we know, approx in between 3 lakh to 5 lakh people were killed during the liberation war. And these are all international statistics. I'm not going by, as we all know that the exact data of how many people were killed during the liberation war is not certain. So the figure is anywhere in between 3 lakhs to 5 lakhs people were killed. Around 1 lakh women were raped, and there was around forced pregnancy of 25,000 women who are later on named as Viranganas. They are called Virangana after 1971. So the task of these Razakars was to locate, hunt, kill, wound, rape all the people who were against the Pakistani establishment. I'm not saying Pakistani state, who were against the Pakistani establishment, who were against the Pakistani military. That was their job, to kill civilians.
And they volunteered into it.
Yes. To kill civilians, to kill the intellectuals, to kill the minority, to kill anybody and everybody who raise his or her voice against the Pakistani regime. So this is the brutal history of Razakar.
So mainly the targets are non-Muslims.
Yes, non-Muslims, absolutely non-Muslim minorities, poets, writers, painters, intellectuals. And it is like you are destroying the brain of a country. That was one of the focuses of this ancillary
so
force.
When Bangladesh built, established the Bangladeshi government, there were very few intellectuals left, actually.
Yes. And on the other hand, what was the task of the Mukti Joddhas? The freedom fighters, they fought with every possible resources they had for the dignity of their own language, for the dignity of their own culture, for the dignity of their own identity. And that's how they could carve out a separate sovereign country. I'm not talking about what Indian government did. I'm not talking about the war of 1971 between India and Pakistan. I'm just talking about the indigenous people of East Pakistan, how they fought with minimum resources, the grit they had. In spite of so much of violence going on, we have all seen the international reports. I think Anthony Mascarenhas was the first person. He was the correspondent of Sunday Times. He was stationed somewhere in Pakistan. He was the first person to coin the word genocide. Everybody has seen in Sunday Times, in Times, in Wash Post, any leading newspapers, our audience can just, Google and can see the pictures, the horrid pictures of the carcasses all over the roads, the dead bodies dumped in ponds, the images of women half naked, strapped to a pole. And these are not concoctions, these are reality. A race has survived with their own grit. This is what Mukti Joddha stood for. And Razakars are absolutely against all these things. And when these hooligans were calling themselves Razakar very proudly, they were actually mocking their own identity.
Right.
We all know what happened during Operation Searchlight. Unarmed, innocent students of Dhaka University were brutally killed by the Punjab regiment of Pakistani army in one single night. In the Rukaiya Hall, which is in Bengali called Rukaiya Hall, female students were raped, they were killed, they were molested inside a hall.
So
and now
the name of this Rukaiya Hall, it's going to be very important.
Yes.
In our talk.
So, and now these women, these students are women students, female agitators, female protesters are calling themselves Razakar. So this shows the rot.
So I will come to that question, that when this paradigm shift changed, because post 1971, Razakars were, this name is synonymous to the traitors basically in Bangladesh.
It has been very gradual. If we read the history of Bangladesh, it has been very gradual, and it started from the late years of Mujibur Rahman, when he, joined forces with OIC, when he wanted to get in recognition from the OIC, and afterwards when BNP came with its own version of nationalism, which was Bangladeshi nationalism. So we see a very, slow drift from Bengali identity to the Bangladeshi identity. Now BNP wanted to create a separate Bangladeshi identity.
And talking about Mujibur Rahman, I must tell that we took too much proud now in West Bengal also, that Joy Bangla slogan, Joy Bangla, Joy Bangla. It's coined by Mujibur Rahman.
Yes.
But Mujibur Rahman is actually pro-Pakistan.
Yes, he was.
And somehow there is a religious...
Yes, it was. He was a disciple of Sohrawardi.
Yes,
he was a disciple of Sohrawardi, and he played a very important role during...
And Sohrawardi is the butcher of...
Yes, butcher of Calcutta, yeah. So in context of Bangladesh, when we come, the situation is a bit different, because when we talk about Awami League, I would say still has some sentiment with the Indian government. Indian government still has some sort of, I won't use the word soft corner, but I would say something like, it is a sort of a connection with Bangladesh. Our historical connection with present day Bangladesh is actually through Awami League.
And Dr. Bhattacharya, maybe I am picking it up from your article only, that this is the first war where the atrocities against women was used as a tool.
Yes. It is one of the, I would say, because post Second World War also many women were tortured. That is also there, but it was actually, they wanted to change the ethnicity of Bengalis. The Khan Sena, especially Tika Khan, if we say, he gave a very bad slogan that, nasl badal denge. Bangaliyon ki nasl badal denge. You will change the, coming generations. And how would you do that? By forced pregnancies, you do that. So it was an all-out war. 1971 was not a war between two conventional armies. It was definitely a war between two conventional armies, but it was an all-out war. Every
against civilians.
against civilians, and civilians fought against trained armies. They fought against trained armies with whatever they could have. You will see most of them were holding stakes, or maybe very rudimentary weapons they had, maybe a sickle or an axe or a stake, something like that. So it was, the entire nation, it was an uprisal, it was an uprising. That is the legacy of Bangladesh for the international fora, a war-torn country.
But maybe in this war only, maybe they are not, methodically used that, atrocities against women.
No, but it was a way of, shaming the society. That is what Taliban also does. Any radical group will do that, because they think that honor of a society is linked with woman and her pride and her honor. If you disregard a woman, if you molest a woman, if you humiliate a woman, you are humiliating the entire race. It is an extremely, dark psychology.
Right. And it is also linked with this particular religion, I think. It's what happened in Mopla.
Yeah.
The famous Mopla riot, we call it the Khilafat movement, but that's not the case.
Yeah, Mopla was also there. Yeah, Mopla riots is there. Now, in front of us, I'm not going to the history, in front of us, two burning examples of what is happening is Afghanistan on one hand and Bangladesh on the other hand. I would like to mention a very important book, which is unfortunately out of print now. It was written in early 2000, I think 2003 or 4, by Hiranmay Karlekar. The name of the book is Bangladesh, the Next Afghanistan. And it was published by Sage. Now it is out of print, but I would like our audience, they can go and they can Google it, or they can have a PDF version of this book and they can read it for their own knowledge gain or whatever. So it is an extremely grim picture, extremely grim, extremely dark, and I'm not going to be pessimist while saying all these things. And all these students' uprising actually culminated, I am going back to the students' uprising, because Hasina was not ousted because of students' uprising. She was ousted because she declared Jamaat as a banned political organization. When the atrocities on roads started increasing, the government did its own investigation. Okay, and within 10 days, the government came to the conclusion that Jamaat and its students' wing, Islami Chhatro Shibir, are behind. They have hijacked the movement and they are behind most of the atrocities. So in July 31, the government declares bans Jamaat-e-Islami and Islamic Chhatro Shibir both under the 2009 Anti-Terrorism Act, Section 18, Clause 1, I suppose. This was the direct attack on the hornet's nest, I would say. It was the direct attack on the Islamist Hornet's Act. And within 4 days, she was forced to leave her own country because the people just came on the road when Jamaat was banned. And we have to understand what is the relationship of Jamaat-e-Islami and Sheikh Hasina. There are two very important points. Sheikh Hasina was not only the Prime Minister, she was the shadow of her father.
Yes. The father of Bangladesh.
Yes, Mujibur Rahman. She symbolized everything that her father fought for or died for, which was an antithesis to Jamaat. Because Jamaat has historically collaborated with Pakistani army, Jamaat has historically collaborated with the radicals, Jamaat has historically collaborated with the Islamist, and Jamaat was always against the syncretic nature of Bangladesh. So this was a personal attack on Sheikh Hasina. And second, the most important thing is International Crimes Tribunal, which was instituted by Sheikh Hasina in 2010. When she was campaigning during 2008, one very important part of her election manifesto was Charter of Change. And Awami League made it a point that if the people of Bangladesh elect us, vote for us, we will do justice to the criminals of the 1971 war. We will bring them down.
So one can say that Awami League built Bangladesh and they hunt for the culprits of 1971.
Yes. And she made it a point that if I come to power, I will do justice. And she did. The government hanged 5 Jamaati leaders, including its the then chief. His name was, I think, Qadir Mullah. Yeah, his name was Abdul Qadir Mullah, and 5 Jamaati leaders were hanged. Not even Benazir Bhutto could do that. Benazir Bhutto had a very, she walked on the ice. She never, interfered with what the extremists, religious extremists or Islamists were saying. She let them be. But this is a woman in an Islamic country who took 5 prominent Jamaati leaders, including its chief, to the gallows.
She paid the price.
She paid the price, definitely. But I would say, we are in a sort of, I would say, working democracy. We are in a sort of liberal society. So women who are in India or in any other part of a liberal society or a liberal so-called democracy will not understand the situation of a woman in an Islamist regime. How difficult it is for a woman to survive in an Islamist regime. And she had the guts. She followed her words and she did that. Not only 5 leaders were hanged, 50 of them were indicted. So it became a sort of a personal tussle between Jamaat in one hand and Sheikh Hasina on the other hand. So this is, as you absolutely said, which is absolutely a correct way, she actually paid the price. And they waited. They waited for a decade.
So, Dr. Bhattacharya, it is portrayed as the student movement, but still Jamaat came to the forefront. So, how did Jamaat able to do that? What power they gathered from this chaos?
It is a very important question, and I would go back a bit, like 10 years back. We all know about Shahbag movement. If you remember, like in 2013 and 14, many Bangladeshi bloggers and writers were hacked to death.
Yes.
Like 10-15 of them were killed brutally by these Islamists of Ansarullah Bangla team, and eventually Ansarullah Bangla team was declared a terrorist organization. Now the entire pretext of the Shahbag movement was actually anti-Jamaat. As I was mentioning about this Qadir Mullah who was hanged, initially the verdict was about life imprisonment. And then the people, they came to the street. They said that this person needs to be hanged. We will not stop our protest until the court changes its verdict and he is hanged. So this was the scenario of Bangladesh in 2013.
And he was kept imprisoned prior to 1972?
No. I'm talking about Shahbag movement. Yes. After the ICT was established in 2010, and when these trials started, and when the ICT, war crimes trial started, he was given the verdict of a life imprisonment. So the local Bangladeshis, they came out of the streets, on the streets.
Who was leading them?
The students, the intellectuals, the normal working people, everybody was on the street, and their demand, it was a huge movement.
The society was aware about that still?
Absolutely, society was aware, and the thing was that they came on the street demanding that we want death penalty for this person. And not only this person, for other perpetrators as well. And eventually the court had to come down under the pressure of the public, and he was eventually hanged. And during that time, ABT, Ansarullah Bangla team, as I was mentioning, it came to the forefront and it was also banned. So this was the picture 10 years back. Now what happened? Within a span of 10 years, or within a span of about 10 to 15 years, Jamaat did a lot of social percolation. Its membership increased. From 2008, it was somewhere around 23,000 plus. And from 2023, it became somewhere around 75,000 plus. So there was a threefold increase in its membership, permanent membership. They call it Rukn. And I'm again using Bangladeshi sources.
Did they use religion as a tool?
Yes, absolutely. I'll come then. And most importantly, one of the social indicators is there was 5-fold increase in the female membership. In an Islamic society, a female membership is very important because according to the religion, a woman is the core of the family. She is nurturing the child, she is nurturing the elderly, she is the pillar of the house. When a woman is indoctrinated into an Islamist ideology of Jamaat, we can very well understand where the society is heading. Although I'm a student of international relations, but I've always kept an eye on the part of society, on the part of ethnicity, on the part of how a group of people react, because these are the building blocks of the superstructure, which is the country. If Bangladesh is a country, is a superstructure, the building blocks are these women, are these students, are these agitators. And that's how there has been this massive regime change. So there have been fivefold increase in the female membership. There has been also massive increase in the associated membership of Jamaat. It increased somewhere between, I would say, 10 million in 2008 to around 22.9 million in 2023.
So one related question just come to mind. Post 1971, was it a liberal society, the Bangladesh society, was it a liberal or conservative?
Borderline liberal. Like especially in the metropolis, if you say, like I've been to Dhaka, and if you go to Dhaka University, you'll have a feel that you are in JNU. I'm also from JNU, you'll have a feel that, women are sitting there, it's very liberal, women are smoking, maybe men are having chat, there are like, mixed gender groups in and around, in like a Jadavpur University or a JNU. But now the situation has changed a lot.
Right.
So as I was mentioning about this Jamaat, and also they started having these Waz Mahfils.
What is that?
Waz Mahfils is like a religious congregation. If you organize a Waz Mahfil in your neighborhood, there will be an Huzur, as they say, an Alim or Huzur will come and he will give his own, interpretation of the
So
religion.
there is also a paradigm shift on the basis of language also, right? Lot of uses of non-Bengali Farsi
Arabic and
terms.
Persian words, it started from BNP onwards. As I was mentioning about Bangladeshi nationalism, there was a lot many, like Joy Bangla was replaced by Bangladesh Zindabad under BNP.
Right.
So it was a very slowly, all these things cropped inside the Bangladeshi society very slowly. So this was what Jamaat did. It worked. I don't know whether the Awami League regime was blind towards Jamaat or the Awami League regime could not, understand, what was coming. So Jamaat definitely, within a span of a decade, completely reinvented itself politically and socially.
So, what is your opinion? Is it eventually it's supposed to be like that, taking in account the religious character of the state?
You know what, to some extent I would say Awami League is also responsible. People might not like what I'm saying. A complacency also occurred with the government. Hasina started portraying herself like, because of my family, because of my father, the country has got freedom. She started treating people very badly. She started, taking a position of, pride. All the time saying this doesn't make much of a difference. You are alienating people. You're alienating the common people. When there is a perception which has been cropped by BNP since many decades that Awami League is ready to sell the country to India. So when people have such, political perception and you are just taking everything on your own account, she has named so many universities, with her own family members. This attitude actually, not only Jamaat's standpoint, not only how Jamaat positioned itself against Awami League, but also a lot many things with Hasina went absolutely against her. And the culmination was her ouster of August 5th. And as we all have seen how horrible it was, we have seen fall of Gaddafi, we have seen fall of Saddam Hussein, and there was a sigh of relief.
Right.
In the liberal world.
So she was also
no,
borderline.
No, I'm not going there. And at the same time, we have also seen the coming of Taliban 2.0 in Kabul. August 15th, 2021, when Taliban entered Kabul and ransacked the presidential palace, It was exactly what these so-called students did on 5th of August. It was exact replica of what Taliban did. They ransacked the presidential palace, they stole, antiques, they ate food from the refrigerator.
But there is a basic difference, right?
What?
Talibans were like, you can say they are not educated and rural area peoples. But what happened in Bangladesh?
That was appalling. That was actually appalling.
Yes.
How they behaved. We all saw how they behaved.
You can see the moral condition of
No, that is why I was saying how the society has degenerated. This shows the degeneration within a society which took so much of pride in its own culture, in its own language, in its own identity. A woman, she has left her home, you are ransacking her wardrobe. What kind of culture does it show? You are taking out food from her refrigerator, you are sitting on her dining table. They exactly behaved like those Taliban, militants. It was actually a carbon copy of what Taliban did inside the presidential palace of Kabul. You are stealing curtains, you are stealing her saris, you are, eating food, you are sitting on the table. It was gruesome to see such things.
And showcasing on social media.
Yeah, absolutely. And with no qualms about it. No qualms about it. It was such a, pathetic scenario. And being a Bengali myself, I felt ashamed of the fact that their forefathers fought for the separate identity, Bengali identity, for a separate Bengali language, for a separate Bengali, ethnic importance.
Dr. Bhattacharya, but there is a underlying difference between Taliban and Bangladesh, right? Because there is also a similarity. Like Taliban was dormant. It was always, Taliban stayed there, low key. And just like that, the Jamaat was in Bangladesh. So, and in this dilemma, also that intellectuals of Bangladesh were, in a state of frustration. So I can't think about what happened to the minorities, how they are, coping with this situation, always under threat, a sense of threat. So how was the state of Hindus basically there?
Again, very grim. It is very pathetic. Minorities, Hindus especially, are going through many turmoil. They are robbed, they are killed, they are raped, their temples are vandalized, their idols are stolen, idols are destroyed. There are also few cases of forceful religious conversion, land grabbing. So these are the things which the minorities, especially Hindus, are going through right now as we are having this discussion. Anybody can go and open Prathamalo. Anyone from our audience can open Prathamalo Bengali and then translate it into English and can see on a daily basis what is happening to minorities. It is not what I am saying or you are saying or Times of India is saying or India Today is saying. It is what is happening inside the country.
And they are not biased, right?
No. And according to their own report, I am saying, the Jatiyo Hindu Mahajot has made a report which says that there have been attacks on Hindus in 278 locations since August last year in 48 districts. And according to my assessment, I would say, as I was following all these newspapers and open sources, it is a countrywide thing. We can't say that the minorities or Hindus were attacked more in the northern part of Bangladesh or in the eastern part. It has been a countrywide, happening.
And is it only a tip of the iceberg, maybe?
Yeah, it is tip of the iceberg, and because the reporters there, the media is also under pressure. Because the reporters are hounded, the cameramen are hounded, they are, they are injured, they are under threat. So whatever, and we should be thankful to social media actually, because most of the things are now reported on social media.
Considering the moral part of the society of Bangladesh, these reporters are also reliable.
Yes, because you have audio visual, no? Now you can video everything. If a person is mob lynched, you can make a video of it. Like I think Utshab Mondal, it was one of the cases where he was lynched inside a police station. and he was hospitalized for a considerable period of time. So, especially the districts which are affected like Moimansingh, Kurigram, Sunamganj, then Rangpur, then what else? Habiganj, Kushtia, Noakhali, these are the districts which are more affected, but it is obviously an overall situation which is happening. And disturbingly, another very important thing is that since August 2024 and this puppet regime under Yunus has come to power, 144 Islamist militants have been either acquitted or they have been out on bail. Militants belonging to notorious Islamist terror organizations like Jamaat-ul-Mujahideen Bangladesh, JMB, Hizb ut-Tahrir, HUT, or this ABT, Ansarullah Bangla team. So when these criminals, these Islamist radicals are out there, who have a history of violence, who have been, indicted for terror activities, and when you give them currency to operate freely within a society, obviously it will go in a downhill. And two very important leaders, first is the ABT chief, Rahmani, Jashimuddin Rahmani. He is infamous for his inflammatory speeches. He is infamous for anti-India statements. Just after getting his freedom, his first job was to give an anti-India statement, which was absolutely anti-India, and it was also inflammatory in nature. And the second most important is this leader of Khilafat Majlis, the General Secretary of Khilafat Majlis, Mamul Haq. He was acquitted in a rape case. So you can understand how much this Yunus caretaker government has bent its knees in front of these Islamist radicals.
And how come they are able to do that? I mean, they are not afraid of the accountability of it.
No, absolutely, because it is a free for all country now in Bangladesh. Anybody, anywhere can be targeted. Anybody, anywhere can be killed, and I am not exaggerating. The amount of road rage, the incidents of road rage and road accidents that have increased in Bangladesh, it is like exponential. Even last year also, we did not see much of the road rages or road accidents happening. Now in every day you will see news of road rage and road incidents. These are also indicators. You are not following a traffic rule. Okay, fine, I might not following a traffic rule. Why I am not following a traffic rule? Because I have the currency to kill a traffic sergeant. Bangladesh is at the mercy of mob right now. So this is also an important thing, and also, as I was saying, this caretaker government has given legitimacy to criminals, to radicals, to terrorists, and they are working with impunity. They know that no one will put them behind the bars. And there have been rallies, like recently Hifazat-e-Islam, I think it was, Hizb ut-Tahrir. Hizb ut-Tahrir took out a rally in March last month calling for Khilafat. What does Khilafat means? Khilafat can be anything, but not pro-democracy. When you are talking about establishment of a Khilafat, you are not at all talking about democracy.
Like Sharia law and all.
Yes, absolutely. Sharia law and the Islamic code of conduct and everything, it can be anything but democracy. When these Hifazat people are calling to declare Ahmadis as non-Muslims, what does this mean? It shows how deep the radicalization has, gotten inside the Bangladeshi society. These are not random acts. We can't, we can't say, okay, fine, this has happened, this is just a random act. Everything is related. Everything is related to the society, the change in the society, change in the mindset of the people. I may not agree with you, but that doesn't mean I have the right to kill you. This political disagreement, this religious disagreement has come down to the point that I can be killed for my political disagreement. I can be killed for my religious disagreement.
So whoever are connected with Awami and now feel like they are being targeted.
Absolutely. All the Awami League, yes. Awami League supporters and Awami League followers and Awami League members. I don't remember his name. A very important Awami League leader. He was a Hindu, I don't remember his name. He was beheaded, I think last month or last to last month. His headless body was found. Obviously, he was not beheaded by a friend. You know, we have to understand these things from a broader perspective. And everything is happening in front of our eyes. The most unfortunate thing is we are closing our eyes. We have closed our eyes and we are saying that, nothing has happened.
Today's time of social media and all, everything is public.
Yes, like social media, I forgot to mention that. You remember Hum Dekhenge? During Shaheen Bagh, it became an anthem of so-called protest. During this anti-Hamas protest, this river to the sea, it became an anthem. Likewise, Amike Tumike Razakar became an anthem for the Bangladeshi protesters. Within few hours, it became a social media frenzy. All these youngsters with their guitar or with their flute or with whatever instrument they had, they started singing Amike Tumike. I felt it was like a race of fools, race of morons who actually don't know what they are saying. Just for 2 minutes of fame in social media, just for the sake of 2 minutes fame, I'm ready to sell my soul to the devil. I would say I'm ready to sell my soul to the Islamist devil here.
But this, current scenario of the Hindus are much, much worse.
Absolutely.
And they are fleeing.
Yeah, they are fleeing. They are definitely fleeing, or they are silenced. I think silenced is the correct word. Their voices are silenced. Their identities are silenced.
So let's come to the next question. So the overall domestic situation of the country right now, the country of Bangladesh.
This is pathetic because there has been an exponential rise in law and order situation and anti-social activities. Okay, I'm again going back to the Bangladeshi source. There's a report which has come up by Human Rights Support Society, and according to that society's report, current report, 119 people have been killed in mob lynching, in mob violence, and around 74 people were injured.
And that's the documented number.
That is the documented number. So we don't know the exact number. It might be in gross underestimation, but within 6 months, from August to December, like 190 people were killed by the mob. As I was saying, how mob operates. This is a very disturbing, indices. It is a very disturbing data which has come out. And common Bangladeshis are robbed, they are killed, they are looted, they are injured, they are wounded. Even Muslim women are molested and raped. So it has become, it has become an absolute anarchy inside the country, and this Yunus is just, flying high. He's meeting international dignitaries, he's going places, he's having his own great time, he's in his own la la land, I would say. He doesn't want to know. I'm not saying that he doesn't know what is happening in the country, but he doesn't give a damn about what is happening to a common Bangladeshi right now. This is a very unfortunate situation. Police, whenever there is a law and order situation, what comes to our mind? The image of a police. Even if in our village, in our locality, in our neighborhood, some law and order disruption takes place, the image of police comes in our mind. But unfortunately today, even the police is not safe in Bangladesh. There has been a report like in last 6 months, around 225 police personnel on duty were attacked. And this would again be a gross underestimation.
So what started as a student movement become a systematic, agitation by a particular political group, and
with
then
a particular
it became a lawless
mindset.
country.
Yes.
Open for all.
Yes,
dog
open
eats
for
dog
all.
world.
Now the IG is giving statement. His name is Bharul Alam. He has given a statement, I think last month, that we are also unsafe. So this is the level of, degeneration that has happened inside the country. Police is not feeling safe. Army is not feeling safe. In the month of February, the airbase, Chittagong airbase was attacked. How bizarre that can be. There was a local skirmish between an individual and the Air Force provost. Something happened on the road. and resultantly around 200 people attacked the army base with stones and bricks.
I may be wrong, but there is a particular similarity between Bangladesh and Pakistan as well about army. They flex their muscles all the time, and Pakistan is all about army. But there is some bit, related in, same in Bangladesh as well.
Bangladesh also has its own share of, military rule under Ziaur Rahman and then Hussain Muhammad Irshad. Eventually, they were a bit, I would say, intelligent because BNP was created by Ziaur Rahman and Jatiyo Party was created by Hussain Muhammad Irshad. So, Bangladesh has had a history of army rule. But this time, I would say, this guy, Waqaruzzaman, he is a bit different. He is weighing his options.
So, if Yunus is the puppet, who is the puppeteer?
That is a very controversial, the rightist elements must be the puppeteers. Right now, according to my assessment, there are 3 power centers in Bangladesh. In one side of the spectrum are the radical forces, whether it is ABT or Hifazat, Hizb, Jamaat, its cohorts, all the rightist Islamist party. On the other hand is the Bangladeshi army, and very interestingly, BNP is taking a centrist position.
Okay.
Because now the next target is BNP.
And army is out of the
with
picture.
Yes, with so-called, complete elimination of Awami League, the next target is BNP. Because now we see street violence between the BNP members and Jamaat members. This is very strange because Jamaat has a history of supporting BNP since 90s. Jamaat has always been an ally of BNP, but now when the common enemy is gone, all these constituent elements of anti-Awami League forces are fighting with each other. Hifazat is fighting against Jamaat, Jamaat is fighting against BNP, Islami Andolan is giving statement against Jamaat. It is a complete, every constituent unit is fighting for its own political space right now.
So logically it is exactly right that, in the path of Afghanistan.
I hope not. I still hope not, but socially if we see all the indicators are very bad. And there has been another very disturbing trend is the formation of NCP, National Citizens Party, under Nahid Islam. Nahid Islam was the, he was the advisor of Yunus, who was one of the youth icons, so-called youth icons of the entire anti-Hasina protest. Now he has formed his own political party in the month of, I think, February. And what does this show? It shows that these protesters now also want their own political space. They want to be out from the shadow of Yunus and the so-called interim government. They have created their own party and they are saying they are against dynastic politics. What does that mean? Awami League is gone. So the next party is BNP and it is absolutely a dynastic party. So they are targeting BNP. So as I was mentioning, the next target is BNP. They are against dynastic politics and they are saying they want a political space for themselves. They want a proper political functioning inside the country. So this is a very important change that has happened, that these so-called hooligans, these protesters have now formed their own party. We don't know what will be their rapport with the Islamist forces in coming months. That is something which we have to, we have to have a look at. How these people of NCP will behave with the Islamist forces and what kind of power sharing will take place between these two, units. And most importantly, now Bangladesh has, from the societal level it can be said, from the political level it can be said, anybody, anywhere can be attacked, including the Sufis. I am coming to the Sufis point because for us, what is Bangladesh? When we talk about Bangladesh, we talk about Shah Jalal, who is a Sufi saint, who is a revered Sufi saint. When we talk about Bangladesh, we talk about Lalun Fakir, who is again a very famous, Sufi saint. Bangladesh has always been a country of saints, Sufis, Peers, all these Sufi shrines, and it is a culture within the Islamist framework of Bangladesh to visit these shrines. And now the situation has come down to the point that around 100 Sufi shrines have been destroyed in Bangladesh in last 6 months by the members of Hifazat-e-Islam and Jamaat. And this is again based on, what Bangladesh media is reporting. So nobody is safe. This is a situation of religious exclusivity. Who is the true believer? And who will decide that who is the true believer? Once all the Hindus would be gone, once all the Buddhist Christians would be gone from the landscape of Bangladesh, it will exactly behave the way Pakistan or Afghanistan is behaving right now. Because then Shias will be attacked. Now already Sufis have started being attacked. Then there will be intersectorial, infighting. There will be intersectorial killings. There would be target killings. It is absolutely going the way Afghanistan or Pakistan is right now. In Afghanistan also we see many killings happening of Shias and of Hazaras who are different from the Sunni majority. So exact replication is happening. It is a very, why I am putting this point of Sufis all over again. Because it is the symbol of Bangladesh. Islam in Bangladesh came with the Sufis. It is how you describe the core of a country. Shonnashi, as we all say them, Hindu Shonnashis and the Peers and the Sufis, they have stayed together in a very harmonious way. Yes. Through centuries in this land.
Very much.
Yes.
In Bengali.
Yes, absolutely. And now when their shrines are also not protected, they are hounded, they are killed, they are tortured, their shrines are vandalized and destroyed. What is left for there in the country? You have killed the soul of your own country. These protesters, in their single-minded agenda of, ousting Sheikh Hasina, they have actually killed the core spirit of their country.
Is there any hope left?
I don't know. I really don't know. Coming few months are very interesting. They would be very important because how the army would react.
Right. Coming back to the army, Dr. Bhattacharya, considering the examples in history, this kind of volatile state of a country, a failed state maybe, we can call it. So like Yunus, a puppet government, don't he have any support from the military?
As of now, military is...
unlike Afghanistan, there is an established strong army in Bangladesh.
Yes.
So like Myanmar, like Pakistan.
Army is trying to collaborate, army is trying to give support to the interim government because it doesn't want any more bloodbath. To be very frank, army is following all the protocols. Waqaruzzaman is meeting Yunus. He has also met with Khalida Zia. He is keeping his cool. I would say rather he is weighing his options. Army till date has shown a lot more political maturity than any of the established political parties of the country. It is in a way showing restraint. Even after this attack on the air base, there were some stern statements given by Waqaruzzaman, but it is still keeping its cool. It is still showing its own restraint, and there has been a point of contention between Yunus and Waqaruzzaman. Waqaruzzaman wants election. He wants an inclusive election. That means he also wants participation of Awami League as a political party. Till now, Awami League has not been banned. Though these protesters and these Islamists are, shouting day in and day night that the Awami League should be banned as a political party, it has not yet been banned.
The leadership is still there.
Some, district level, state level leadership is there. People are silent as of now. But the army wants an inclusive and fair election. On the other hand, this interim government under Yunus is given more, importance to reforms, and nobody knows what reforms is because the country.
It seems like it's reforms back to the Sharia law and all.
I'm not saying Sharia law, like they are talking about Islamic welfare state. Okay, they are not talking about out and out Sharia, or they're not talking about apart from these rightist organizations.
So overall, there is no place for the minorities.
No, I don't think so.
But still, A neighboring country like Bangladesh in fire is not in the best of Indian.
Absolutely not, because as I was mentioning about this Jashimuddin Rahmani, he is the chief of ABT. The moment he comes out, the first thing he does is he gives an anti-India inflammatory statement. We all know what is happening. I'm not going into the Rohingya detail because it is again a different story altogether. We all know what kind of demographic shifts are happening, not only in Bengal, West Bengal or Assam, but also as far as Jharkhand. It is very disturbing. We like I think yesterday also there was a report of tussle. There was skirmish between the indigenous people and the settlers, the Rohingya settlers, somewhere in some village in Jharkhand. So we are facing all these things. Absolutely, we are facing all these things, and with an absolutely volatile and unstable so-called interim government in Bangladesh, we have to be vigilant. India needs to change its border policy. I'm sorry to say this. I don't know whether we have a border policy or not.
And that's why we are doing this discussion.
And
thank you very much for coming up with this incredible information.
Thank you. These are part of what I do on a daily basis. As you have mentioned, I'm part of South Asia Terrorism
Indian
Portal.
people our viewers should know about these things, but still, without any political help, we can't do anything.
No, we can't do anything. We don't have, China is playing its game very safely. China is colluding with Jamaat. China is notorious for its own treatment of Uyghurs and what it is doing to its own mosques. The mosques have been converted into bars. The mosques inside China in Xinjiang they have been converted into restrooms, washrooms and bars. So a country which comes from this kind of a background is now colluding with Jamaat. It is praising Jamaat. The Jamaati delegation visited.
And OIC is mute about it.
Who?
OIC, World Islamic.
Yes. OIC is very conveniently mute about it. OIC is very conveniently not looking into it. And a delegation, I think few months back, visited China comprising of Jamaati leaders. Jamaat is playing it also at the international level. The Jamaati leaders are having proper, official, meetings with delegates of Australia, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, China definitely. So it is doing what? It is putting its case to the international fora.
So if not Afghanistan, definitely it will be Pakistan 2.0.
I would say Afghanistan 2.0 in a different way. Very unfortunately. Right now, Iran and Afghanistan are having border problem. Iran is sealing its border. It is constructing a wall. You can go to any source. Our audience can go to any source. I think it has happened. Around 500 kilometers has already been sealed by Iran. Within 2 Islamic countries, a border has been sealed. Nobody talks about it, and we are still unable to seal our border with Bangladesh. Maybe our terrain is different. Maybe our circumstances are different. We have this Chitmahal problem also. We have we have the longest border with Bangladesh, as we all know. And Meghalaya, I think, nobody talks about Meghalaya. Meghalaya is an important point. We only talk about Assam, we talk about West Bengal, we talk to some extent about Tripura. But Meghalaya has a substantial, land area which it shares, the border it shares with Bangladesh. And there has been infiltration of Rohingyas and Bangladeshis inside Meghalaya as far as Arunachal Pradesh, as far as Nagaland. So I don't know what we are doing.
Yes, there is some conflicts between the union government and the state government also.
Yes, definitely. But we can't keep on saying that there is a conflict. We have to, we have to come down to some sort of a substantial result. Why I put up this case of Iran and Afghanistan. If Iran can put a boundary with Afghanistan, can seal its border, why can't
considering a almost broke state
yes.
by the global pressure.
whatever it is, there are also refugee problem. Afghanistan and Afghani refugees are also creating a lot of, they are hanged, by the way. This also our audience can see. It is available in any, you just Google it, Afghanis hanged inside Iran. Every month, these illegal refugees are hanged inside of Iran. Nobody talks about it. And if we hang a criminal who has antecedent to, who is an origin, who has origin in Bangladesh, the entire media would be against
Maybe
us.
some other time we also talk about the Baloch problem.
Yes, that is a different story actually. That is another,
Maybe there's some hope for India also.
I don't know because my assessment is Balochistan might end up being another Bangladesh for us. It is their problem. Let them decide what they want to do. We don't need to play any godfather in this. We have enough problem of our own. What is happening between Baloch and the Pakistani establishment, Baloch rebels and the Pakistani army, it is their internal affair. It is their domestic situation. We don't need to, be part of that. We have enough problem inside our own country right now.
But Bangladesh still is a significant economy, and as a neighbor of India, we can't just look away.
No, we can't just look away. Bangladesh is a significant economy, but it is siding with Sri Lanka. It is siding with China. Japan is investing.
If we lift the stage, of course, China will take advantage.
China has already started. Yunus has been to China, I think 2-3 days back, and many deals, economic deals were signed between the interim government and the Chinese counterpart. So after Sri Lanka, I think, and destroying Sri Lanka to a great extent, the next is Bangladesh.
So we will now coming to the end, and one last question we will end from here. So what is the last hope from the perspective of India, from the perspective of the people of Bangladesh?
The last hope for Bangladesh are the intellectuals, still I would say. The writers, the poets, the singers, the opinion makers, their voices are subdued. We don't know what they are thinking, because Bangladesh has a history of, intellectual positivism, I would say. For us, I would say these intellectuals who are secular in nature are the last hope for Bangladesh. Because right now they are silenced, their voices are subjugated. But let's see what happens in coming month, and to some extent how, as I was mentioning, the army behaves. These two are most important, I would say, antithesis of the Islamist radical groups as of now.
So thank you very much, Dr. Bhattacharya.
Thank you
for coming here,
me.
And hopefully in such volatile condition, if there any development happens, we will have a talk again.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you. Namaste.